What's good, y'all? So before the season started, the Rockets were one of my teams that I was super excited to watch because I thought they had a lot of upside, a lot of really nice young talent on their team, and I was super high on them. I thought that coached by Ime Udoka, they can come into this year and shake some stuff up. And so far, throughout 11 games through the season, they have looked very, very good. They are 7-4 so far, which puts them at 5th in the Western Conference, which is a really contested conference right now. A few games losing, they could be the 10th seed. A few games winning, they could be like the 3 seed. You know, you never really know this early on where things will finally end up. But like I said, looking at them, watching them play, they have been a really, really solid basketball team. Besides my New York Knicks, my favorite team, the Rockets are the second most team that I've watched so far. And the main catalyst of them being so good is one, Ime Udoka, because I think that his coaching with this young team has been absolutely impeccable. And two, their defense. They have so many young athletes on their team that it just makes it damn near impossible to score on them at times. But before we get into talking about their defense and all of that specific stuff, I do want to just kind of go over all of these young guys that they have on their team and the amazing starts that they've had to the season, because they are all super important pieces on why the Rockets are so successful. Starting off with Jalen Green. Going into this season, I was not very high on Jalen Green. I thought that the Rockets should pay Sengun and not really pay him, just kind of wait to see what happens throughout this season, maybe pay him in restricted free agency, maybe trade him. I wasn't completely sold on Jalen Green staying with the Rockets, but after watching the first few games this season, I've changed my mind a lot on Jalen Green. I think that this year he looks way more comfortable as a offensive player just in totality. Early in his career, the first few seasons, he was really just a streaky scorer, and that was about it. And still to this day, he is a little bit streaky, and when you look at his numbers, like just what he's averaging and in the box score, sometimes you would think like this is a little bit underwhelming. But when I've been watching the games and watching Jalen Green play, he's really impressed me a lot and has changed my mind on him. He's shooting a career high from 3, albeit it's only about 34%. But it still is a career high and around league average. And he's also shooting a career high at the rim. And you know, with Jalen Green, his number one ability is his athleticism. And he has been using it incredibly to start off, getting to the rim, using his burst of speed, and then his jumping ability to just go over people. One of the biggest plays that come to mind is where he posterized Cade Cunningham and then yelled in his face, flexed on him. You know, those type of plays make Jalen Green super fun to watch. But even when you look at just the play-by-play, possession game, Jalen Green looks a lot more comfortable as a ball handler, especially in the pick and roll. He's way more comfortable taking that pull-up 3 if they're giving him drop coverage or going under the screen, or if they're chasing over or giving him too much space, he'll eat that up with his speed and then get to the rim like that. Passing out of it, he's been a very willing passer. I'm not going to say he's an amazing playmaker or anything like that. It's definitely an area of his game where he can grow, but he's been very willing to make that dump down pass to Sengun on the roll or kick it cross court to the corner if they're helping out. You know, just all around as a ball handler and as a pick and roll operator, he has looked much better this season. I think that's really important to take these steps as he grows as a player. And he is in a little bit of a slump right now, shooting-wise. I think the last few games, he's shooting like 2 for 12 from 3 or something crazy like that. Like I said, he still struggles a little bit with his consistency and is a little bit streaky. But if he can fix that just a little bit, keep up the great rim pressure, keep up the willing passingness, I really like him on this team as a whole. And the other guy that they paid alongside Jalen Green this offseason is my boy Alperen Sengun. The first few games of this season, he looked really shaky, even to the point where I'm a big Alperen fan. I really like Sengun. I think he's an incredibly gifted player. There was a point where I was like, yo, am I bugging on him? Is he not as good as I thought? Early on, he was just really struggling finishing at the rim, and obviously when you're a 7-foot center, that's where you should be good at. He really wasn't, though. He was going up weak. If there was a contest there, he was probably missing it. Even sometimes where it was like a pretty easy look for, again, a 7-foot center, he would just miss it. He started to get back into the groove of things and become more efficient at the rim as time goes on, and now he's looking like the player that we all know and love, the amazing offensive hub. Not only is his finishing up and being better, better as the games go on, but his rebounding has been absolutely phenomenal. I knew he was a good rebounder, but coming into this season, he seems even better. He's had double-digit rebounds in 8 out of the 11 games so far the Rockets played. He's had some 18, 17, 15 rebound games, really just owning the paint. And then also beyond that in his offensive game, his mid-range has never looked better than what it is right now. He's looking super confident in taking those like free throw shots where he's just kind of, just almost a catch and shoot type of thing. If the center is guarding the paint, he's very comfortable, to just step up into that shot and take it, or in the post with his little fade. I know some people are comparing it to Jokic's somber shuffle, where he does a little one-legged turnaround fade, like Dirk-esque shot. Sengun has got that in his bag as well and has been shooting it incredibly well to start the season. And then even his three-point shot, I'm not really looking for Alpi to be a knockdown three-point shooter. I think he provides way more than enough on offense already right now. But if he's able to get that consistently, I'm not going to be complaining about it. To start the year, he started really hot. Now he's kind of came back to earth a little bit more. I'm intrigued to see how that goes throughout the season, if he's going to be a somewhat volume three-point shooter. And early in his career, he really wasn't looked at as that defensive anchor that you would want for your center to be. But since then and now, he's grown physically and also mentally as a player, where he's become a solid defender. I'm not going to sit up here and act like Sengun will lock down opposing centers or anything like that and block shots left and right. But he has looked really, really solid this year, using his body, using his hands and his long arms. He just takes up a lot of space down low and really causes havoc down there, causes confusion. And that's something that the Rockets as a whole are really good at. They just kind of all use their length and athleticism together to just make teams really have to think about every pass and shot that they take. And while we're talking about defense, I might as well bring up the two guys that honestly sparked my interest in making this video about the Houston Rockets, and that is Tari Eason and Thompson. These two coming off the Rockets bench has been some of the most fun basketball that I have watched this season. I'm going to start by talking about Tari Eason because he has been one of my favorite players to watch this year. When he steps on the court, he is just the biggest ball of energy. He goes and brings 110% at all times. No matter, like, you might think I'm exaggerating right now, but a few games ago when they had a really close game with the Golden State Warriors, they were down 31 and then came all the way back to forced overtime. Tari Eason was a huge part, maybe even the biggest part of that comeback. And there was a point in, I believe it was the fourth quarter, Tari was out there hustling, getting buckets, forcing turnovers on defense, really putting it all out on the line. And he called for a checkout. He had to sit on the bench for a second. He literally went to the bench and collapsed, body went limp. You could tell he left it all on the court there, and that's the type of thing that I love. Like I mentioned before, I am a Knicks fan, for those of you guys who don't know, and he reminds me a lot of Josh Hart in some ways, where he will just run around like a bull in a china shop, doing whatever it takes to impact the game positively, and Tari always seems to be impacting the game positively. He has the third highest plus minus of any Rockets rotational player so far this season at a plus 62 in his minutes. He is shooting a career high from three, not on a high volume, but still knocking it down. Career high at the rim. When you talk about defensive playmakers, might be one of the biggest defensive playmakers in the NBA. He's averaging 2 steals and over a block per game. Incredible at just, again, causing havoc, whether that's poking the ball away, coming down for a chase down block, and a lot of times where he makes those defensive plays, it sparks transition, and that is, again, a really huge strength of Tari. There has been 4 or 5 times already this season where he is just sprinting out in transition. He gets the ball, lays it up, and one for 3 points right there. Like a huge momentum swing guy. The Rockets fans love him, so whenever he checks in, it gets the crowd going. Like I cannot explain enough how great Tari Eason has been this season. And Tari's forward duo coming off the bench, Thompson. A lot of those things that I just said about Tari, I could say about Amen. Amen is another one of those guys that just comes out there and does whatever it takes to impact the game positively. He honestly has one of the highest IQs that I've seen from young players. It seems like 90% of the time, he is in the right place at the right time, making the right play. He obviously has his limitations, as majority players in the NBA do. Specifically with him, it's his three-point shooting. He cannot shoot whatsoever. But he knows that that's his weakness there, and he's smart about his positioning to still be impactful offensively in the half court. He roams a lot in the dunker spot where he can just be like making cuts over there, getting the ball, going right up strong with it. And then also they use him as a pick and roll ball handler a few times as well. And he is a very willing passer. He uses his athleticism to get downhill, get to the rim. He is probably one of the best athletes in the NBA when you talk about speed and jumping ability. He's top tier at all of that. And again, like I said with Tari, Amen is one of the best defensive playmakers in the NBA, averaging about a steal and a block per game. But not only is he a great defensive playmaker, he's also just a super solid defender in general. He uses his length and athleticism to contest shots, to stop the ball. He can guard 1 through 4 pretty much on most nights for most players. Super versatile defensively, and when you pair him with Tari, I mean, it's damn near impossible to score on the Rockets. Amen is also super great in transition, whether that's him grabbing the rebound after a stop and kicking it forward to really, just start the break, or if he's the one leaking out and uses his speed and athleticism to get to the rim and finish off the break. If you guys haven't watched much Amen or Tari this season, I'm really hoping you guys start, because like I said, they are some of the most fun players to watch in my opinion, and they kind of encapsulate fully what the Rockets are trying to do this season, and that is use their athleticism, use their size, and just punish people defensively. You have these 4 guys that I mentioned and talked about throughout this video, and then you also have a guy like Jabari Smith, who has been a little bit underwhelming offensively, but he still is 6'10", and has active feet, a versatile defender, rebounds the ball well. And then they have great vets like Dillon Brooks, who is one of the best wing defenders in the NBA, super smart, brings that kill mentality, if you will. Then also Fred VanVleet at the point guard spot is a smart defender, a playmaker. His shot has not really been falling so far this season, but I'm sure it eventually will. I all around have loved what the Rockets did coming into this season, the roster that they have, the young talent that they've been growing, the coaching that they've brought in. I really feel like the Rockets have been doing the perfect rebuild, and preseason I had the Rockets as the 8th seed. I feel like that's a little bit higher than what majority of NBA fans would have them as. And like I said in the beginning of the video, so far they're the 5th seed. Still plenty of basketball to be played, and I'm sure they won't finish as high as the 5th seed, but I'm feeling very confident in the fact that I have the Rockets making the playoffs. I feel like if they continue playing like this defensively while still growing as a team offensively, the sky is the limit. What are your guys' thoughts on the Rockets though? What has been your favorite Rocket to watch so far this season? Like I said, I probably have to give it to Tari Eason. Amen Thompson is very close, and then maybe Sengun rounding out the top 3. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave it a like, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In the description, there's links to all my social medias, so make sure you follow me on all those to keep up to date with me. Catch y'all